Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at Premiere Pro versus Final Cut Pro. So today we're going to be talking about the price, the compatibility, the functionality of these two programs to see which one is better. This is in my opinion, of course. You might have some other opinions, but this is just to help you make a decision on some of the things that I think are important when it comes to picking your editor, which one's faster, all that kind of stuff. All right, so first we're going to break down the pricing. So we're going to start with Premiere Pro first. And as of right now, it is $20.99 for the Premiere Pro plan. So that gives you Premiere Pro on desktop, Premiere Rush on mobile, which is basically like their downgraded iMovie type for mobile, which is still fantastic. And you get 100 gigabytes of cloud storage, which is a lot. But you can also pay $54.99 a month to get all of Creative Cloud's apps, which are 20 plus desktop and mobile apps, including Lightroom, Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere Pro, Illustrator, you name it. So that's super nice. I have that and love it. So that's great for if you want to use Photoshop for making thumbnails, but that's different video for another time. So the bad downside to this is that you're gonna have to be paying this on a monthly basis, and you're not gonna stop paying for it until you stop using, Premiere Pro and you quit your subscription. So that's kind of the downside of it. It's kind of like if you have a Netflix account and you're paying monthly to watch it and then you don't watch it for like 3 months, you're still paying for that, and that's kind of the downside if you don't use it that much. But now we're going to switch over to Final Cut Pro, because you can get Final Cut Pro for $300 flat, no monthly fees. You just get it, you download it. I think it's tied to your Apple ID, so I think you can only get it on the computer you buy it on. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that, but I think that's how it works. But with this, you do not have to pay. It's a one-time purchase. You don't have to pay any more for that monthly subscription, but you don't get the 20 plus apps that you would if you did Creative Cloud, which is double the cost of the Premiere Pro plan with 20 times the apps. And that's super nice to have, and to pay monthly for 20 plus apps is pretty sweet deal. But I use probably in reality 7 of those that I actually use. So that's nice to have that all in one bundle. Plus you get access to Adobe fonts, and you also can get Adobe stock, which you still have to pay additionally for, I think. So you can get stock clips, but you already have an Apple ID if you want to sign in with that. And I think you get 10 free stock clips from Adobe stock when you have Creative Cloud. Don't quote me on that, but I think that was a deal at some time. And also in Creative Cloud, they just now released Frame.io as a part of the Adobe suite, so you get that right in Premiere Pro. If you don't know what that is, it's an amazing collaboration tool where people can edit and comment and fix parts of your video, or not really fix, but they can spot out parts in your video and draw on it to show you where it is. And it's a really great collaborative tool that you can use, and you can have timestamps at certain spots where you're talking about let's switch up this edit or change the color here. You can do that in Frame.io, and there is a little workspace inside of Premiere Pro that was just launched. So that's pretty cool. I love Frame.io. I use it at work all the time. So you don't have to have an Adobe login for that. It just is a part of the Adobe family now. And I'm not sure if you have to pay for Frame.io or not. You might for certain functionalities, like more members or collaborators on your team, something like that. All right, so let's talk about speed. So when it comes to the Mac and Final Cut Pro, especially with M1 Max and the M1 Ultra chip, Final Cut is blazing fast. So those on Mac are definitely that's probably gonna beat Premiere Pro in terms of speed, unless you have a super overclocked PC or whatever. But you can also get Premiere Pro on an M1 Max, so there is that too. Just simple things like that make it super fast. I use this on a 2019 MacBook Pro, I think it is, with an i7, so it doesn't even have M1 in it, but it still renders stuff and exports super fast. I've done 12-minute videos and it's gone super fast. You would not get that with Premiere Pro, or at least what I've gotten with it. And of course that can vary on what type of computer you have, but in general, I think that Final Cut Pro is faster in that area. All right, so now let's talk about for teams. So if you're going to get this for teams, I would probably have to say that Premiere Pro is definitely the way to go, because Premiere Pro has functionalities such as, like, I think it's called Premiere Pro Productions, where you can essentially like collaborate on a big project, but you can edit on it as if it was like a big group project. So you cannot do that in Final Cut Pro. So there is one downside about that, but also inside of Premiere Pro, you can have access to shared libraries if you create one. Shared libraries meaning like places where you store different assets like pictures or logos or swatches, like color swatches and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Final Cut does not have anything like this that I know of. They hardly have any settings, which kind of is a downside to Final Cut, because I wish there was a little bit more maybe customization with some of their stuff, or just a little more tweaking to how you would want to use it in Final Cut Pro. So they don't really have anything for teams right now, but that would be a great update in the future to have a little more collaboration going on there. Also, if you're working from Mac to PC, you can also just share your Premiere Pro like projects and have them open on both, as opposed to Final Cut Pro where you'd have a project over here. You can't drag it over to PC because they're not compatible. You cannot get Final Cut Pro on PC, which is definitely one of its downsides, but I am a Mac user, so it's not really a problem for me. So some of the limitations of Premiere Pro, I think, is some of its functionality. I think some of their things are too slow as far as like when you're editing clips and stuff like that. The playback isn't like that great, and sometimes you'll have to make proxies, which are basically like substitute files with lower resolution so that you can edit kind of more in real time, as opposed to in Final Cut Pro, which you can drop in like 8K footage on the M1 Ultra and it will play buttery smooth, which is just insane, like 8K footage. And I think that Final Cut Pro definitely has it with their magnetic timeline, which makes it super easy to cut it and edit clips together, because if you have two clips here and one in the middle and you take the one in the middle out, then everything will shift accordingly and will just make it a whole lot easier, as opposed to if you did this with Premiere Pro, you'd have your clip here, and the one in the middle. You delete the clip in the middle, then you just have them stay there. They wouldn't connect automatically. You have to go and like select all of the ones like before it and like scooch them back. It's just one other step that just really shouldn't happen, doesn't need to happen. You know, maybe they could make a function to where if you wanted to have them stay, like put a shortcut key for it or something like that. But the way that it's built in Premiere Pro, it just seems slower to me. But I'm not totally dogging Premiere Pro, because I have definitely used their custom keyboard shortcuts option. So I've made X on my keyboard the cut button. So if I just click X, it'll slice it. So Z on my keyboard is a ripple edit tool, which basically what they call that in Premiere Pro is you can do kind of what you do in Final Cut Pro. You can take a clip out and all of them will shift forward. But I think Final Cut Pro is way faster in my opinion. I can just cut clips, scoot things around. I can drag stuff on top of each other, and with the magnetic timeline, you can move stuff around. There's a thing called the connection point in Final Cut Pro. I'll have a little picture to it, where it's this little line that connects to the clip. So if you move the bottom one down, the ones that are connected to it will just move along with it. Super useful if you just want to switch around multiple like clips that are connected to each other, and you just want to like test out like a shot, like would this edit look better or this one, you know, and then just like undo it if you don't like it. Also, I think that when you drag the sides in like Final Cut Pro, it seems to be very like precise and fluid. Also, like when you have the magic mouse, you can just scroll sideways and it will go through the Final Cut Pro timeline. In Premiere Pro, it's like very like choppy and like stuttery, but it's like buttery smooth in like Final Cut Pro. So if you just like slide it around and stuff, it's like super great. I have talked about the connection points in a shorts video that I did, which I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to know about that and how to move the connection point if you're already Final Cut Pro users. So that's some of the limitations I found with Premiere Pro. I find myself editing like 2 times faster or even more than that in Final Cut Pro, just because it's easy to like switch stuff around, add stuff, cut, whatever, you know. So I find that it's a lot easier and a lot faster to do it in Final Cut Pro. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is for YouTubers. So if you are a YouTuber right now watching this, you may be thinking which one is best for YouTube. And that's a good question, because you want probably the fastest, most responsive one that you can get to pump out your videos. But I think especially for YouTubers, Final Cut Pro definitely takes the cake. It's a lot faster. You can export faster. It seems like it exports like a lot faster than Premiere Pro. I think it's because it's got some Apple like integration, stuff with it, especially with the M1 chip, which just blows everything out of the park. Not, even Final Cut Pro, just a lot of stuff. And I have watched people have like Premiere Pro on their Mac, and they say it's super fast with the M1 chip. So you shouldn't let that be like your only limitation, because you can still get Premiere Pro on the Mac, which is nice because they're both cross compatible. But I think for YouTubers, Final Cut Pro is just definitely the way to go. I love it. Super fast. I've grown to like it a lot more, and don't tell anyone this, but here, come closer. I might consider switching completely to Final Cut Pro. Yeah, I know, that's crazy. I just find that I can make edits and stuff a lot quicker, make decisions on the fly easier because I can switch and move clips around. Can't really do that on Premiere Pro. It's just a lot more headache and a lot more moving and clicking buttons and stuff like that. So I think for YouTubers, definitely Final Cut Pro is the way to go. All right, so I'm not totally and completely dogging Premiere Pro. I've been using it for probably 4 years now, and that's what I started with, and that's what I've been using for years until up to last year, where I started my new job and I was forced to learn Final Cut Pro, which, let me tell you, that was scary, but it didn't take me that long to learn it because the interface is a lot more simpler and a lot more friendly looking than Premiere Pro. Sometimes you can get a little too technical, it feels like, with Premiere Pro, which some people like that. Customize it however you want it to make it your own. I get that. I did that with keyboard shortcuts and I find it a lot easier. But I definitely think that the new Captions tool inside of Premiere Pro is amazing. If you're doing stuff for movies or films and you want captions underneath there, or for some news clips or something like that, you can easily transcribe an entire sequence or clip, and it will automatically analyze your words and will make captions for each one of them. You can create some rules beforehand, I want 2 lines of text instead of just 1. You can change the fonts of them and stuff like that. Though, however, I will say that's really hard to do. You kind of have to go through each one of them and, kind of just change it yourself. So that can be a headache too. All right, now we're shifting the focus back onto Final Cut Pro for another amazing feature that I love, which is just the simple thing of synchronizing your clips. I think there is a way to do this in Premiere Pro. However, I don't remember how to do that, and I don't think I've used it that often just because it seemed a little weird and it didn't work all the time. But I definitely need to use that more. But in Final Cut Pro, you can sync clips super easily by just clicking 2 clips in the library, which is basically a project in Premiere Pro. But you just select 2 clips, you just hit synchronize clips, and it will do all of it for you. And then you can just drag that clip back in, and it's as one full clip, and you can just cut it and chop it and do whatever you want with it. So that's a super nice feature. I definitely use that one on the daily when I'm at work. So that one's just amazing and takes a lot of the headache out of it. It takes 3 seconds for it to combine the 2 clips and synchronize the audio, and so I can just super easily sync up that audio. Also, in Final Cut Pro, they have added support for the iPhone 13's cinematic mode, to where you can, I think, shift focus in Final Cut Pro when you import cinematic footage from your iPhone, which is super cool. Don't get me started on the iPhone cinematic mode, because I am definitely going to try that out soon and I cannot wait. And if you guys want a video on that, also leave a comment down below. But that about wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you to take out some of the guesswork of comparing both softwares. Definitely smash the like button and subscribe because it's free. And you can also comment down below. That just helps me out a lot with engagement on YouTube, and that would be greatly appreciated. If you want to stop making these editing mistakes, then click on this video right here and it will take you straight to it. I'll see you over there. Bye guys.